Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. So, SummerSlam from the Thunderdome ended up being a bummer slam in the Blunderdome. Now, for the most part, SummerSlam this year was mildly decent. We had the girls come out. All the ladies that performed tonight absolutely stole the show. You know what I didn't see coming? I didn't see myself sitting here telling you guys that Seth Rollins and Dominick Mysterio were going to put on the best match of all the men on the night, and I also didn't see coming that I was going to tell you that the big dog came back to take a dump on the entire main event scene. But we are going to talk about all of that and so much more right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare. You are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's SummerSlam review and reaction show. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Poop hammer coming down right off the bat. Now, I don't care how you feel personally one way or the other about Roman Reigns. You could be a Roman Reigns fan. That's fine. I'm not. I didn't miss the big dog while he was gone. I was actually getting used to him not being around. It was inevitable that he was going to come back. But instead of him coming back and doing something cool, like teaming up with the Usos or debuting him on a SmackDown to get the ratings up, they wanted to have him come and be the thing that you'll never see coming. This was a tagline for this show that was absolutely wasted, and it did not live up to it as the show went on. And this was the big reveal. This is what you didn't see coming. The big dog is back in the WWE. And I see all these clowns, everybody on social media, people are getting excited. People are going, oh, is it heel Roman Reigns? I can get with heel Roman Reigns. Are you serious? First of all, you have no reason to believe that. There is no evidence to support that theory, because isn't The Fiend a heel? Didn't they spend the last 3 weeks turning Braun Strowman into a heel? So how would that play out in your mind? You got two heels already in the ring fighting for the WWE Universal Championship, and then the big dog comes out and he's a heel as well just because he was a little intense and he delivered a few spears and made The Fiend, only minutes after dismantling Big Showman, look like a complete idiot. It took them minutes to disrespect The Fiend. He had his hands on the title. He got to celebrate for a microsecond, and the next thing you know, he's on his back as if he suddenly is able to feel pain. He was hit with two of Braun Strowman's running power slams. That didn't put him down. Braun Strowman's hitting him with chairs. He's doing everything possible in this very sudden false count anywhere main event, which I don't remember them saying that, but I could have missed it because I don't really pay too much attention when they talk about anything related to Braun Strowman. And this match was ridiculously boring to me. They try to make it so exciting with all the weapons and all the nonsense, and then Braun Strowman makes himself look like an idiot because he goes and he gets a blade. He gets a friggin' carpet knife from a toolbox and then goes into the ring and doesn't even cut it properly. I've assembled rings for House of Glory. I could have went in there and known exactly where to go to find the seam. But he wasted so much time in getting the blade and then getting back into the ring, trying to find a spot to cut, and then he cuts out a big empty hole in the foam. He lifts it up, exposing the wood underneath the ring, and then Bray Wyatt fails to hit Braun Strowman on the wood both times. He executes Sister Abigail. He misses the wood completely every time. The finish was horrible. The match was meh. But the reveal of Roman Reigns as what we're never gonna see coming makes me not want to do this show anymore. I can't do this again. Can you guys really live through this again? Putting him immediately at the top of the card. They sacrificed their two big stars. Their two top guys on SmackDown. Just immediately shit on. And how many of you believe that it's going to be just 6 or 7 days away whenever we're getting this stupid payback pay-per-view that Roman Reigns is going to end up having the title put around his waist? They're going to probably book a triple threat The Fiend and Braun versus Roman, and then Roman's going to pin Braun because he's absolutely worthless at this point. Do you understand that they just tried to build Braun Strowman into this unbeatable monster, this man full of rage who is going to come and be the first person to dismantle the Fiend and destroy the Fiend, and everybody was afraid of him. He's foaming at the mouth. He's doing all this crazy shit. And then he's worthless. Not only did he lose to the Fiend, but he gets handled by Roman Reigns in the same night. So you built him all up to be big and bad just to knock him down. And then have Roman come and take a big old dog shit all over everybody. It's the same thing. I can't do this agenda shit anymore. The same's going to happen when Charlotte comes back. Charlotte's going to come back. They're going to put her right at the top of the card, put her right back into the championship mode, and we're going to be reliving 2018 over and over and over again, and I don't know if I have the strength to do it. I really don't. I don't care about the character of Roman Reigns. It is the most boring, overplayed, overused character that the WWE has shoved down our throats for the last 6 years. If you haven't gotten him to the point where he's the biggest, most beloved babyface of all time in 6 years, you're never gonna get there. I don't care that we took a break from Roman Reigns. I don't want to see him immediately come back and dismantle the Fiend. The Fiend was supposed to be this great, unique character property, and the WWE just doesn't care. They don't care about their superstars. They only care about the agenda and the story that they want to be told. They don't care what you like. They don't care what I like. They only care that Vince McMahon's man crush is coming back, and now he's got to be number one again because you don't mess with the big dog. You got Roman Reigns telling Braun Strowman, you're only a monster when I'm here. Well, then what the fuck were we just watching for the last 4 weeks? Was that him being a lamb? Was that Braun Strowman back in his little sheep mask? Being all timid and nice to kids? No, that's what you call a monster. You were nowhere around. So stupid is this company that it makes me sick. The other championship matchup on the night was a Randy Orton special. Boring. I keep seeing everybody talking about, oh, that was some match between Drew and Randy Orton. It was the most boring bloodbath I've ever seen, and bloodbath is giving it too much credit. Both of these guys ended up being cut by the end of the night. They were bleeding from the face, but they spent more time standing around staring at each other than they did anything else. Randy Orton just being Randy Orton, standing there, breathing, going in the corner, breathing, staring at Drew, hitting the move, getting up, staring at Drew, hitting the move, getting up. Then Drew was doing the same thing. It got mildly hardcore at points, but it was completely uninteresting. And then they built this match. Oh, Drew's got the Claymore, Randy's got the RKO. You'll never see it coming. And we didn't get to see a Claymore kick to end this match to solidify Drew McIntyre as a top champ. We didn't get to see RKO deliver his RKO to the champ to definitively prove that he is better than Drew McIntyre. We didn't get Ric Flair coming out to the ring to do a double turn on us and make us think that he was going to side with Drew, only to turn on Drew and help Randy win the championship. We didn't see any of these options. We see in this match end up with a very underwhelming backslide pin. The champ retains in a boring affair that was not worth watching. It was not worth our time. I don't think either of these guys looked great in this match. And then you got Hall of Famers online and other podcasters tweeting, oh, that was some match. What the hell were you watching? Were you watching it on Fast Forward or something? I don't understand. What the fuck were you watching that I didn't see? I was bored out of my mind. The only time I wasn't bored out of my mind is when there were women on the screen. And that's not a sexist thing. That's because the women came out and delivered on all ends. And that's not really to be a surprise to anybody when you're talking about a match, Asuka versus Bayley. They went out there, started off SummerSlam's main card, and delivered, as they always do. It wasn't that different from everything we've seen them do before, but it was a solid match. It was tough. They were tight. You know what I mean? Their moves were tight. Everything was crisp, and it was fine. The ending made everything else very predictable. Sasha Banks got involved, cost Asuka the match, and everybody in the world knew that now when we get to Asuka versus Sasha, Sasha's not going to come out on top. And that's exactly what happened. Asuka versus Sasha Banks was the better of the two Asuka matches on this night. One of Asuka's best matches versus Sasha Banks that I have ever seen. And it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a lot of fun. There was just one powerbomb spot that Sasha Banks did. Not a springboard, but a sunset flip powerbomb off the apron to the floor outside that I thought Asuka was going to be dead. It was a very impressive match. What I did not appreciate was WWE doing the same exact finish from the previous match that Asuka had on the night, only this is what happens when it doesn't work out for the golden role models. And Sasha Banks ends up losing. And the other thing that I don't like there is that it just seems to me that Sasha Banks can't hold a championship. Right? They like to give Sasha a belt, but within like a month's time, she's giving it back. More often than not in her first title defense with that belt. But I understand the bigger story. And we now are on the road to finally getting Sasha versus Bayley on the main roster. That, as the main program for the SmackDown Women's Championship, should deliver on all ends. I have every faith in these girls to pull it off the way that I know they could. Just like Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville delivered tonight, not, in an overwhelmingly great fashion. I did actually expect this to be a lot better, but in the case of these two, Sonya Deville is a megastar in the making. It's only a matter of time. Hopefully, when and if she comes back to the WWE after tonight, they know what they have in this girl and they push her to the moon. On the other side of it with Mandy Rose, she performed very well tonight. She did. But what I don't understand is why she channeled her inner Kenny Omega. And I felt like I was watching a New Japan style match or an AEW style match where all of a sudden this girl was all knee strikes. Just like everybody's beloved Kenny Omega. Just V-trigger, V-trigger, V-trigger. And I feel like she was taking notes, watching AEW and going, I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to hit this girl with my knee 100 times. And I know Daniel Bryan does a couple of running knee strikes in his matches. I know he does. But nobody does more than Kenny Omega. Until tonight. Mandy Rose. I think she topped Kenny for the amount of knee strikes you can get into one match. Aside from that, the only other criticism I have is they turned this into a no DQ match. And they did not really take advantage of it. There was some action on the outside, but there was no real weapon use. They set up a table and it never got used. They were throwing chairs at each other that weren't hitting. And it didn't really get that hardcore element, that no DQ element that such a personal grudge match should have really had. But it was still one of the better matches on the entire night. I'm very proud of Sonya Deville. And who could blame her? Who could blame her? The one interesting thing here, besides how terrible Mandy Rose's caterpillars are and the cameltosis that she was sporting, the one thing that now that I just said that, I forgot my thought. I would love to see what the story was if Sonya Deville was not leaving. I would love to know what the original plans were, because we were supposed to get a hair versus hair match. And all logic would tell you that barring all the events in Sonya Deville's personal life this week, that she was going to win at SummerSlam and shave Mandy Rose's head bald. But now, due to her personal situation, she needs to take some time out of the spotlight, and nobody can blame her. I think every single one of us would definitely do the same thing if we were having our life threatened, we had our home broken into, and we were going through some really traumatic shit. I think if any time this girl deserves a break or needs a break, the time definitely is now. I almost knew that was going to be the end result, but good for her. And I want to say to her, if she happens to be listening, which is a very slim possibility, just thank you to her for putting herself out there for us tonight and delivering in a way that she did. She's such a strong and powerful character, and she's really come to her own. And I would like to see that expanded upon, and I would love to see her pushed to the moon and back if and when she actually comes back. Talking about being pushed to the moon and back, somebody who deserves to be pushed to the moon is definitely Dominick Mysterio. Not because of his bloodline, not because of the whoop-ass beatings he's been taking at the hands of Seth Rollins, but because he went out there at SummerSlam in his first match in the company and didn't embarrass himself. He didn't embarrass his family. He didn't embarrass Seth Rollins. And in fact, I think he brought out the best in Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was the best kind of Seth Rollins tonight. I'm not the biggest fan of the Monday Night Man Bun. We all know this, but I give credit where credit is due. And this was my favorite match of this night. The amount of drama that was built up here, the tension that was palpable. Just sitting on my couch, I could just feel the sympathy and the drama and the emotion in Rey Mysterio's eyes. As a father, many of you people that watch my show are parents as well. You can sympathize with Rey Mysterio. Dominik asked his dad, please do not get involved in this matchup, which I thought made a lot of sense because it's a no disqualification between him and Seth. So what would stop Rey Mysterio from getting involved if it's not going to cost his son the match? The honor of his son, and his son asking him to please let me do this on my own. I thought that was a great touch. I thought bringing in Angie Mysterio, the wife of Rey, the mother of Dominik, into the equation. We've seen her before on WWE TV, and this was the perfect time to have her make an appearance. The constant cutting away from the match, showing the mom watching in the back, was just kind of heartbreaking, wasn't it? Like you're looking at what Dominik is going through, and he had his moments where he went up and he did a frog splash that was absolutely beautiful, doing Eddie Guerrero proud, paying tribute to Latino Heat. He did a fantastic job. His outfit choice looked great, but I would have done without the hood. But while we're talking about outfits, Seth Rollins gets the MVP in the outfits for tonight because he came out there in a mock version of Rey Mysterio's 1997 Halloween Havoc outfit that he wore fighting Eddie Guerrero in a match that many will go down and say was one of the best cruiserweight matches, if not the best, of all time, for WCW at least. And that was just a real dagger to the heart. Real good heel type stuff from Seth Rollins. I enjoyed this match fully. And it was just so great how they ended it by Rey Mysterio finally giving in. Finally having to help his son because they were going to take his eye out on the corner of the steps. And then he stepped in. He stopped that from happening. But for his troubles, he ends up being handcuffed to the middle rope. Then Angie Mysterio makes her way from the back to the entry ramp, which gets Seth Rollins' attention towards her. And it looked like he was going to be a real filthy piece of shit and do something terrible to the mother of Dominik. But the giant baby man son came in at the right time and saved the day, got his attention away from his mother, got Seth Rollins back into the ring, only to end up suffering a curb stomp inches away from his poor, sad father. And it was just really, really good stuff. And I really did not expect that. I did not see this coming. It maybe went just a little bit too long. They could have wrapped it up a little bit quicker. But I loved it. And I thought this was the best match of the night. Everything else on this card was dog shit. The United States Championship match, a match that's featuring The Hurt Business versus Apollo Crews, the current United States Champion. This has been being built on television, on Monday Night Raw, for weeks. Every single week we have to see MVP and his buddies coming out there talking shit about Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews is beating Shelton Benjamin. He's beating Bobby Lashley. He's beaten MVP before. This has gotten so much dedicated time on TV. It's been one of the only programs they've actually been building on their road to SummerSlam, and it was put on the pre-show. Naturally, in typical WWE fashion, because everything we do on TV doesn't matter, right? We don't have to show the blow-off on the main card. I would have rather you put the Raw Tag Team title match on the pre-show in comparison. Not that the Apollo Crews MVP match was that great, but I have a strong feeling that when they found out they were going on the pre-show, they decided to pull back on whatever plans they may have had in that matchup. And on the flip side, MVP is way past his prime. And I'm not saying that to be a dick. I'm saying that because I see with my eyes. And my eyes see a man in his 40s, maybe in his 50s, out there moving like molasses against some kid that could run circles around him. This match would have been better suited for Apollo Crews if it would have been either one of the other members of the Hurt Business. Apollo versus Shelton could be a 10-minute match and it could be a wrestling classic. Apollo versus Bobby could also be that. Apollo versus a way past his prime MVP, and this is what you get. And if you didn't tune into the pre-show and you missed it, you didn't miss anything. You don't have to go back to watch it. And now let's talk about the Raw Tag Team title match. I think that's the last match we have to talk about. It was an absolute waste of my time. It was more of a waste of my time than it was a waste of Kevin Owens' time. Oh, Kevin Owens? What are you talking about? You said the Raw Tag... Yeah, I said the Raw Tag Team title match because they had nothing better for Kevin Owens to do than to come out here and go on commentary for a tag team division match that's got nothing to do with him. He has no reason to be involved. He has no reason to be adding his 2 cents here. He should have been on commentary during the championship match between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Maybe that would have at least been a better place to place him. But by the way, the only reason he was there was not to really add anything to commentary, even though he did, because he's so full of charisma and he's great and he made me laugh on multiple occasions while he's on there, just like Samoa Joe does. Both of these guys deserve to be in the ring, and they're knocking it out of the park when they're in there on commentary. But don't you think that is a terrible use of Kevin Owens, putting him there? And to make it even worse, the only reason he was there was to tell all of us that tomorrow night on Raw, he's going to be on Raw with the Kevin Owens show. And he's inviting Aleister Black, who's been missing in action for weeks. So he's extended an invitation to Aleister Black, and we have to tune in tomorrow to see if he's going to turn up. What do you think's going to happen? I don't really care, one way or the other. Kevin Owens should be kicking people's teeth down their throat, not sitting there smiling and making jokes about Byron Saxton. This tag team match was a waste of time as well. It featured another interference finish, which was the third of the night, I believe, when all was said and done. And Zelina Vega was there at ringside for Angel Garza and Andrade. But where the hell is Bianca Belair? Was she not part of this storyline? If this is going to be the conclusion of the storyline, and you're going to blow it off at SummerSlam, which I don't see why you wouldn't. You can't keep having the same match over and over again. Where was Bianca Belair? Why was she not out there with her husband and his best friend as they're trying to get vengeance for the poisoning incident that still may or may not have been Zelina Vega? I stick by my story when I told you guys when we talked about it on the Raw review. She did nothing but stand in the vicinity of that cup. They didn't do a good job if they wanted it to really be her doing the poisoning. They showed her doing nothing but standing there looking at Baron Corbin's Constable King dickhead crown. But I just speak facts, all right? Just like the fact that this match was unnecessary. This whole feud has been unnecessary and great. The Street Profits retain their tag team championships in a mediocre tag team match. And where does that leave them? Where is that heading for them now? Where are they going? Who are they going to fight? The tag team division is dead. There are no other teams. Name another tag team on Raw. And don't tell me the Viking Raider Warrior Raider Raiders, because they're in the fucking underground now, getting beat by Dolph Ziggler. They have no reason being in a Raw Tag Team Championship matchup. And that, all in all, was SummerSlam from start to finish. Bayley defeated Asuka to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship by nefarious means. The Profits retained their titles against Angel Garza and Andrade in almost the same way that Bayley beat Asuka in the opener. Then, the no disqualification loser leaves town match goes to Mandy Rose as she defeats Sonya Deville in a 10-minute match that was one of my favorite matches of the night, even though it featured some pretty iffy spots and a little bad selling here and there from Mandy Rose, but we will forgive that because the quality of the match by the end of the day was great. Seth Rollins defeats Dominick Mysterio in a very dramatic street fight, which was very entertaining and the best match of the evening. Asuka defeated Sasha Banks to win the Raw Women's Championship, and now Sasha Banks is pissed at Bayley. So hopefully we'll be going in the right direction. Drew McIntyre defeats Randy Orton to retain the WWE Championship in a boring 20-minute long affair, which did nothing for me. And wait, one of the worst things was the finish. Not just because it was a roll-up, but because when they finished the roll-up, you had Tom Phillips. Oh, you never saw it coming. Like a roll-up or a backslide is the most surprising thing ever. Don't they use that at least twice a week on Raw or SmackDown? Oh, you'd never see that coming. A surprise roll-up. Tom Phillips, shut up. And then the sudden falls count anywhere match where Michael Cole wanted to keep comparing The Fiend and Big Showman to movie monsters, and this is like Godzilla versus King Kong, and this is like this, and this is like that. And this was just a 12-minute match to make Braun Strowman look like a fucking idiot, and to end the night with the big dog taking a shit on the entire championship picture of SmackDown. He wants to wear a shirt, wreck everyone and leave. I wish you would leave. Now you just came to wreck everyone, and now you're going to stay. So even your shirt doesn't make sense. You left, and now you've come back. So it's wreck everyone and stay, right? Should it happen? Or are you going to leave? Did you come and do this, and now you're going to go away, and I'll never see you, and then I'll be okay. Then I'll be okay. But I even put it out there on Twitter, man. If you're not following me on Twitter, it's @NickNightmare. You can go do that right now. Immediately as this happened, I put it out there, and I was like, you know what? I think this might be the last Sledgehammer Wrestling show tonight. I don't know if I could do another Roman Reigns agenda. I just don't know if I could do it. There's a lot of things that need to happen. If, in fact, he is a heel, it'll be interesting to see how they go about it, since everybody apparently is a heel in this triangle of championship contenders. But holy shit, man. I didn't mind the fact that this show was over before 11 o'clock. That's always great. And most of the stuff, not most of the stuff, some of the stuff on the show was good. But most of the stuff, as usual, has a whole lot of things wrong. And that's what you come to me for. And I bring you everything wrong with SummerSlam in the Thunderdome like nobody else. You can listen to everybody else jerking off all. Oh, it was the greatest SummerSlam of the pandemic era. Oh, it was such a great SummerSlam. Calm down. Calm down. It was not great. It was okay. It was good. But it's got a lot of errors. And if you're just steering the ship back down the road of the Roman Empire, I don't know how much longer we're going to last. We might go forward just not talking about anything that has to do with Roman Reigns. And that might be a big hole in this show, being that he's probably going to be the center point of SmackDown now. But we'll talk about everything that happens around him, because I just don't know if I could do it. Let me know what you guys thought about the return of the big dump, Vince McMahon's boyfriend, back to Monday night, back to Friday night, wherever the frig he's going to go. I don't care. Wherever he goes, I don't want to watch. I don't care. I'm not 12 years old. 12-year-old boys and females across the land, rejoice for the return of Roman. I am not one of those. And if you're a fan of Roman Reigns and you don't like what I have to say, too bad. Too bad. Listen, I have my opinion. You have your opinion. You might not like a guy like Drew McIntyre. I don't care how you feel. You're entitled to how you feel. Just like I'm entitled to how I feel. And if you think Roman Reigns is going to save the WWE, then you have a lot to learn, my friends. Because just because you bring the big dog back, you might spike the rating. You might get some people to watch. But the quality of the show is going to be the same. And it's going to end up driving people away at a faster rate when you just hit the reset button and do everything you were doing before. And this may have been the plan all along. We all knew that Roman Reigns was going to be the one to take out The Fiend until he decided to go home because of the pandemic. And then they passed everything along to Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman might as well hang up his boots. He's absolutely useless at this point. And then The Fiend can follow suit after he lays down looking up at the lights to Roman Reigns. Because that's the inevitability of what's going to happen. Thank you guys all so much for joining me here today. We are going to wrap this up and get on out of here. Thank you all so much for the influx of new subscribers, which is making it harder and harder for me to just say, you know what, fuck this, I quit, because I want to be here for you guys. I know a lot of you guys depend on my take to give you guys some entertainment because the WWE fails at doing that on a regular basis. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the Team Thor, the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Snowball, the most important member of the team, as always, each and every one of you fuckers. And now it is time for you to do your part and smash that like button if you enjoyed this show, if you liked anything I had to say, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, if you like the background or you like the hammer, whatever reason, hit that thumbs up for me right now and then share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they need to know everything that went wrong with this year's SummerSlam in the Thunderdome. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment letting me know what you guys thought about this show. And most importantly, if you are not already a sledgehead of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, now would be the time to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of the times we bring the hammer down on the WWE, because nobody does it like I do. Listen to anybody else you want. Just know that no one does it like we do here. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom.